Let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're exposing some universally accepted, but honestly, incredibly toxic financial habits that society has somehow just completely normalized. We're going to take a really close look at the hidden patterns that might be quietly draining your wealth right this very second. To kick things off, consider the wild paradox of the sudden millionaire. Think back to that historic $1.5 billion Powerball prize in 2016. I mean, even split three ways, taking home hundreds of millions of dollars should absolutely secure a life of pure luxury, right? Well, the data reveals a pretty shocking reality. Over 90% of lottery winners inevitably end up exactly where they started, and often within just a few years. It's crazy. So what's the crucial takeaway here? It's that human beings are creatures of habit. Simply dumping a mountain of cash on poor financial behaviors is never going to build sustainable wealth. The truth is, it's not just about how much money you make. It's almost entirely about how you manage what you earn. If you don't fix the leaks in your financial bucket, no amount of incoming water is ever going to keep it full. To help dismantle these habits, we're breaking things down into 6 key traps today. The invisible wealth illusion, paying yourself last, the toxic debt trap, chasing the quick fix, the cost of waiting, and finally, looking rich versus being rich. Let's get into it. Starting with Section 1, the invisible wealth illusion. Working hard, going nowhere. The reality of this illusion is honestly staggering. A massive 44% of Americans don't even have enough cash on hand to cover a basic $400 emergency. Just think about that. Nearly half the population is walking on extremely thin ice, where just one minor car repair or a random medical bill can trigger a complete financial collapse. So why exactly does this happen? Well, it's because we fall victim to this really sneaky concept, lifestyle inflation. You get a promotion, you earn a raise, and instantly you upgrade your life to match it. You get a bigger apartment, maybe a nicer car, you start having more expensive dinners. The spending always rises to match the income. And that keeps you completely trapped in the stressful paycheck-to-paycheck cycle, regardless of how much your salary actually goes up. Moving right along to Section 2, paying yourself last, which is basically the blueprint for poverty. The difference in mentality here is just stark. The poor habit is letting your paycheck hit the bank, paying your rent, the utilities, buying groceries, going out with friends, and then maybe trying to save whatever crumbs are left over. But spoiler alert, there is rarely anything left. The wealthy paradigm shift flips this completely upside down. You absolutely have to treat your savings as a non-negotiable bill that gets paid before anything else. Taking a minimum of 10% and securing it for your future self right off the top, that's how you break the cycle. All right, Section 3, the toxic debt trap and systemic hazards. Think about this for a minute. When you borrow money to buy a brand new car, society congratulates you, right? But from a purely financial perspective, you aren't investing in your future at all. Instead, you're taking out a high-interest loan for a rapidly depreciating asset. You haven't purchased success. As our sources point out, you have quite literally purchased poverty. It's wild how quickly you go underwater on this stuff. You drive the car off the lot, and boom, its value plummets immediately. But your loan balance? Yeah, that stays high. Within just a couple of years, you owe the bank far more than the car is actually worth. And the kicker? You're paying them interest on top of it just for the privilege. It's a double loss that quietly but surely drains your wealth. And this trap gets even worse with the whole credit card illusion. People constantly justify buying things they can't afford because they're chasing flight miles or cashback rewards. But those rewards? They are instantly wiped out when you consider that the average credit card interest rate is a staggering 22%. Seriously, if you carry a balance month to month, you are just feeding the credit card companies your hard-earned wealth. So a really crucial point here is redefining what an asset actually is. Society universally calls a primary house an investment, but our sources challenge this pretty strongly. Think about it. A primary home constantly requires money. You've got property taxes, insurance, you need a new roof, the plumbing breaks, it pays the bank, taking money right out of your pocket every single month. In contrast, true assets like dividend stocks or a profitable business quietly put money into your pocket with zero hidden maintenance costs. Understanding this distinction is absolutely vital. Next up is Section 4, chasing the quick fix, distractions and illusions. The data on this next point reveals a stark contrast. 86% of successful individuals consciously curate their circle. They intentionally surround themselves with success-minded people and actively limit their exposure to negative, toxic influences. On the flip side, those who are struggling financially are overwhelmingly surrounded by negative influences. It really goes to show your environment directly impacts your net worth. And you know what? Your daily habits impact it even more. If you want to stop bleeding cash, you've got to immediately eliminate these toxic wealth-draining behaviors. I'm talking about chasing crypto shortcuts or lottery dreams instead of investing steadily, or ignoring your budget, or comparing your Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 20 on social media. And perhaps the most important one, refusing to delay gratification. Instant gratification is literally the absolute enemy of wealth generation.
Which brings us to Section 5, the cost of waiting, and why time is your greatest asset. Here is the cold, hard, mathematical reality of wealth. There is no perfect time. Waiting until you make more money or get a better job, that just costs you years of compound interest. There are absolutely no shortcuts here, folks, only the unsexy, boring path of long-term consistency. Whether it's $50 a month or $500, starting at year 1 is what allows the magic of compounding to eventually accelerate you into true financial freedom by year 30.
Finally, we have Section 6, looking rich versus being rich. This is the ultimate paradigm shift. The ultimate realization here is that true wealth is, well, almost entirely invisible. We tend to measure success by what we can see, right? Designer labels, luxury cars, massive houses. But a lot of the time, those visual markers are actually just signs of massive debt and zero safety net. People who are actually rich, they usually don't care about looking rich. They drive reliable older cars, they live modestly, and they let their wealth hide out of sight in massive compounding investment portfolios. Okay, let's get into the actual blueprint to fix all of this. By following 3 precise, unglamorous steps, you can transition from being just a consumer to a true investor. Step 1. Track every single dollar so you can actually see the waste and cut it out. Step 2. Build that 3 to 6 month emergency buffer so a flat tire doesn't completely ruin your life. And step 3. Take the difference and relentlessly invest it in assets that produce income while you sleep. I really want to leave you with this final critical thought from our sources today. Every single dollar you spend is a vote for the life you are going to live in 10 years. So you've got to ask yourself, are your votes building an invisible fortress of security? Or are you going to keep trading your ultimate freedom for the temporary, exhausting appearance of success?